Hello, I am going to be reading Jerome's story, and before I do, I'm just letting you guys know that besides all the stories that I'm reading from all of these sexual assault survivors, there are way more stories on Rain RAINN website to read a lot more of their stories if you want to read more. And in all my videos, there are a link in the description. So if you're interested, feel free to check that out. And from that being said, I'm just going to get right into it now. So here is Jerome's story. When you're groomed, you're taught to keep secrets. You don't even realize you're being groomed to a secret. Jerome Whitehead is an author, husband, and survivor of a couple childhood sexual assaults. At 13 years old, Jerome was groomed by a man with a highly respected reputation at Jerome's school. The predator was a financial contributor to the church and was friendly with the principal. So a few thought questions in his process at his school and his friendship with students. The predator targeted male students from single parents' household and estimated like a father-like relationship with the boys. He drove them to movies, took them swimming and out to eat, and quickly became a trusted friend to them. It was very funny, and he was very funny, and I just enjoyed being around him. At one point, I really did have strong feelings for him, which of course led to me keeping that secret. Because Jerome liked the predator he did not identify what was happening to him as abuse. The predator made Jerome feel like he was his favorite, only taking advantage of Jerome's fondness for his sexually abusing him. As an adult, Jerome discovered that the man had abused other boys as well. Unfortunately, this predator was not the only one was taking an advantage of Jerome. Around the same time, a homeroom teacher at a different school that Jerome attended began to abuse. He would call me into his classroom during lunch under a guidance of tutoring me. Finally, he asked me if I talked, and I didn't understand what he was asking me. I said, I talk all the time. And he said, no, I mean, do you talk? Once the teacher secured Jeremy's silence, he began abusing him. Around the same time, one more person took advantage of Jerome's vulnerability. Jerome was introduced to his third predator through a friend. This man took an interest in Jerome, showed him kindness, and became his friend. He would take Jerome out to eat and walks into the train station. After a school field trip, the man picked Jerome up and promised to get Jerome a cab if he went home with him. The man ended up keeping Jerome at his house all night as the cab never came. He raped Jerome that night. Each of these men used different forms of grooming to ensure silence of completely from Jerome from a fatherly relationship to an authoritative one to a friendship. Fearful of getting in trouble, Jerome kept everything that happened a secret. I know who you're going to trust with a secret. Unfortunately, most boys didn't, especially boys of color. We don't tell people. We're taught to be men. We're taught to be a breadwinners and predators. We're not taught to be victims because being a victim implies a weakness. Because it was so difficult for children to experience sexual abuse to come forward, Jerome advises that practice with their children, ask questions, pay attention to warning signs of grooming. It was not until Jerome met his husband and finally confined it to someone about his abuse of experience. Out of all my relationships I've had, he was the only one that I told. For decades, Jerome told him what had happened. The trauma impacted Jerome's relationship with sex, drinking, and other people, but he didn't realize it. I took at abuse as something that just happened when I was 13. I thought it's okay and it's over. Now I realize it's not okay and it's not over. It's not over until you deal with it. Once Jerome had more distance from his trauma, along with a stable comfort relationship, he was able to begin talking about it. After what happened, the two spouses of survivors looking to support each other with love, Jerome advertised patience and compassion. Let your partner tell it in their own time, in their own way. Give them space to breathe so they can comfortably tell you everything. Be patient because there will be tears and there may be anger, but understand that none of this has to do with you. This is about the individual. This is not about the person that's going through this. As a teenager processing trauma, Jerome found solace in writing. As an adult, Jerome's writing still helps him heal. One of the ways I dealt with it was by writing it down, telling my story from the beginning. It took me years just to be able to say that the predator raped me. Like I couldn't say the R word because guys don't get raped. So I had to let go of that shame. Jerome was written extremely about the events of his life, including the book titled Groomed. It feels like this big ball of energy you have, and it's all not positive energy. and you don't know how to get rid of it. For me, the only way that I could get rid of it was to write it down. Because Jerome lived in silence for so long, he is passionate about holding conversations within the African American community and mostly with black men about sexual abuse. I think a lot of African Americans have a tendency to just bleep over issues that they don't want to acknowledge or don't understand, like it never happened. Ignoring it does not make it go away. Other survivors, Jerome advises patients with oneself. Take your time because time is all you got. It's a little bit at first, kind of like an onion. Just keep peeling layer after layer. It just takes time. So if this video inspires you in any shape or form, please share, please like, please comment, please subscribe, etc. And I will see you in the next video.